if you were starting a CBD brand and you only had a smaller budget, like, because a lot of my audience doesn't have the big budget, so like, what would you focus on to get sales, and what kind of products would you sell? Like, what kind of advice would you give those people that just don't have the big budgets but they want to make an impact?
My thought process is I think influencers are kind of aren't really the right thing to do at this particular point. I think that they've overstayed their welcome, especially those who have who are who are whoring themselves out to every product out there, for lack of a better way to say that. I would stick with low-hanging fruit, which would be the tinctures and the gummies and the edibles. I say that that's how we started, and so we built up a war chest with that. I'd say that topicals are very hard to make work online. It's a lot easier at retail because that's all they're really taking. I think things are going to change soon. I know that that the ingestibles are not 100% legal. They're in a big gray area right now, but nobody's going after anybody because there's nobody really to enforce it. They're really going after people who are making claims like, don't say you're going to cure cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and
you don't want to do that, people.
Oh my God. I have guidelines that I use that I am happy to share with you that we give to everybody, and they have to sign off on their addendums to every one of my agreements. But I would say that, Facebook is really difficult unless you're going to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, you got to have the budgets for that.
Yeah, with Facebook. I'd say that, we just got approved for Google. So for Google Shop, Google Ads, et cetera. So we're doing
I've been seeing that starting to pop off now.
Yeah, but I would say that if you're going to do this and you have a small budget, I'd say Commission Junction is a good place to start. Share a Sale, those types of affiliates are good places to start. I put money into SEO. If you have a small budget, make sure that you're ranking and get, you don't have to do an expensive website. You can do, like we just did for our strips, we just did a Wix website for the retailers, because we're having a big ECRM show next week.
Yeah, and you don't even need anything fancy for real retailers.
No. Yeah. And you've got to get, I know processing is really hard. We're fortunate, that we've got good processing. But there's some good brokers out there, and it's expensive to process under normal circumstances with CBD. But you just have to be careful. I would get a CRM. I would put some money into it. Good CRM. We use Connective, Konnektive. I love Connective.
Yeah, it's a good software.
Great software, and they just are putting in. We're on the beta program for their Rev Analytics program. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Revalytics, I think is how they pronounce it. The made-up word. Anyway, which really helps us with our continuity program. We like it because they're PCI compliant. You never, ever, ever want to take credit cards yourself. Never want to keep them. So Shopify is a good way to go for people starting out. You can build a WordPress Shopify site, for a couple $1,000. And and Shopify is PCI compliant. So that's another good way to start. And they also have a decent, not a great CRM, but it's decent CRM. And I think if you use their credit cards, I think you have to pay a percentage, correct, Matt? Am I right about that?
Yeah, and as far as I know, they might have changed this recently, but as far as I know, you can't use Shopify payments for CBD. You have to set up your own merchant account and then link it through. So that's the safest way. But yeah, Shopify is great that's what I used when I started in the CBD business. I had a Shopify website and I loved it. It has good analytics on the back end and you could track everything. And another thing I would throw in there too, people, is just really try to find your niche market that nobody is selling to. That's important. Like, you want to be able to speak that language to the niche market. And I'll keep saying that over and over because there's so many brands that I meet and they're just general CBD brands and they're trying to sell to everybody, but you can't do that. It won't work. Like, you have to have a focus. And like Nancy said, hers was women over 45. And that's a great niche. And one of the big failures is, not to call them out, but I have to, is Ignite brand, because they went after 18 to 25-year-old young men, and those men do not use CBD. They smoke THC all day long. Yeah, and that's why Ignite is having issues. And so and Nancy picked the right target, and that's why she's having success. And so you have to be able to do that as well. And